Chapter 9. The Journey Home. Day 36. The Miraculous Ordinary. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Pārtha, is sure to reach me. Bhagavad-Gita 8:8. The most profound spiritual transformations often appear ordinary to external observers. You're still the same person doing the same activities, but internally everything has changed. This is the miracle of Krishna consciousness. It revolutionizes your inner world while leaving your outer world functional. The invisible revolution. Others might not notice that you've become free from anxiety, that you find joy in service, that you see Krishna everywhere, that you're no longer disturbed by material ups and downs. The deepest spiritual changes are often invisible to casual observation. Don't expect applause for spiritual advancement. Expect inner peace that doesn't depend on external recognition. The ordinary extraordinariness. Advanced Krishna consciousness makes you more normal, not more weird. You become a better family member, employee, friend, and citizen. Not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because spiritual consciousness naturally produces responsible, caring behavior. The goal isn't to be special but to be authentically yourself in relationship with Krishna. The sustainable transcendence. Real spiritual life isn't about peak experiences or dramatic realizations. It's about steady, sustainable practice that works in ordinary circumstances. The devotee who maintains practice through boring Tuesday afternoon is more advanced than the one who has ecstatic experiences but can't stick to basic disciplines. Spiritual maturity is measured by consistency, not intensity. The integrated identity. As you advance, the distinction between spiritual life and regular life disappears. You're not someone who practices Krishna consciousness. You are Krishna conscious. It becomes as natural as breathing. This integration is the real goal. Not adding spiritual practice to your life, but transforming your entire life into spiritual practice. The gradual grace. Most spiritual advancement happens so gradually that you don't notice it day to day. Like a child growing, the changes are only obvious when you compare present to past. Keep a spiritual journal to track your inner development. You'll be amazed at how much you've changed without realizing it. Tomorrow's preparation. Understanding how ordinary practice creates extraordinary transformation prepares you for tomorrow's topic. Preparing for the ultimate test of spiritual advancement, how you face death. Day 37. The ultimate test. And whoever, at the end of his life, quits his body remembering me alone at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Bhagavad-Gita 8:5. Death is the final exam of spiritual life. Everything you've practiced, every habit you've developed, every attachment you've purified, it all comes down to your state of consciousness at the moment of death. This creates urgency. You must develop Krishna consciousness now so it will be natural when you need it most. The consciousness momentum. At death, your consciousness naturally continues in whatever direction it was already moving. If you've spent your life thinking about money, family, career, or pleasure, those will likely dominate your final thoughts. But if you've trained your mind to remember Krishna consistently, he will naturally be present in your final moment. This is why daily practice is so crucial. You're preparing for the most important moment of your life. The death preparation. Every night when you sleep, you practice dying. You lose consciousness of your body and external world, then return to awareness in the morning. Death is similar. Losing bodily consciousness, except you don't return to the same body. You sleep as death preparation. Before sleeping, remember Krishna. Practice surrendering your day to him. Train your mind to think of him as consciousness fades. This creates the habit you'll need at death. The attachment audit. Death reveals the true depth of your attachments. Family members you can't imagine living without, possessions you've worked decades to accumulate, achievements you've built your identity around. Death takes everything. Regular meditation on death isn't morbid. It's clarifying. What will really matter when you're dying? What attachments are causing unnecessary anxiety? What would you regret not having done or said? The life review. Advanced practitioners regularly review their lives from the perspective of death. Not to become depressed, but to maintain proper priorities. This practice naturally reduces attachment to temporary things and increases focus on eternal values. If you knew you had 1 year to live, what would change about your daily routine, relationships, and goals? The fearlessness factor. Krishna consciousness eliminates the fear of death by eliminating the identification with what dies. When you know you're not the body, death becomes simply changing clothes, discarding a worn-out garment for a fresh one. This fearlessness isn't bravado but understanding. Death can only touch what's temporary. It can't touch your eternal spiritual nature. Tomorrow's victory. Understanding death as the ultimate test creates urgency about spiritual practice. Tomorrow we explore how this urgency transforms into joyful spiritual acceleration. The final sprint toward Krishna consciousness. Day 38. The final sprint. For one who has taken his birth, death is certain. And for one who is dead, birth is certain. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. Bhagavad-Gita 2:27. We're approaching the end of this 40-day journey, but really you're just beginning. Everything you've learned, every practice you've established, every realization you've had, it's all preparation for the real work of lifelong spiritual development. Now comes the final sprint toward establishing unshakable Krishna consciousness. The urgency without anxiety. Understanding that time is limited creates healthy urgency about spiritual practice without creating anxiety about spiritual advancement. You work diligently while trusting Krishna with the results. You practice intensely while maintaining equanimity about progress. This balance of effort and surrender characterizes mature spiritual life. The quality intensification. Rather than just increasing the quantity of spiritual practice, focus on improving the quality. Chant more attentively. Read more thoughtfully. Serve more lovingly. Associate more meaningfully. One round chanted with complete attention surpasses 16 rounds chanted mechanically. The integration acceleration. As you advance, the boundaries between spiritual practice and regular life dissolve more completely. Work becomes worship. Relationships become service. Challenges become curriculum. Entertainment becomes inspiration. This integration doesn't happen automatically. It requires conscious effort to see everything in relationship to Krishna. The service multiplication. Advanced practitioners look for ways to help others develop Krishna consciousness. Not from pride, look how advanced I am, but from love, I want others to taste this joy. Teaching deepens your own understanding while helping others advance. Share what you've learned. Create opportunities for others to practice. Organize programs. Support newcomers. The surrender deepening. The more you experience Krishna's love for you, the easier it becomes to trust him completely with your life. Surrender evolves from reluctant necessity to joyful choice. This deepening surrender paradoxically makes you more effective in the world, not less. When you stop fighting Krishna's arrangements, you can cooperate with them powerfully. The vision clarification. Your spiritual vision becomes increasingly clear and consistent. You see Krishna's hand in everything. You understand the temporary nature of material circumstances. You maintain spiritual perspective through all conditions. This clarity guides all your decisions and transforms your entire life experience. Tomorrow's commitment. This final sprint mentality prepares you for tomorrow, your personal graduation ceremony and commitment to lifelong Krishna consciousness. Day 39. Your spiritual graduation. For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. Bhagavad-Gita 18:68. Today marks your graduation from spiritual beginner to committed practitioner. You've learned the fundamental principles, established basic practices, and tasted the sweetness of Krishna consciousness. Now comes your opportunity to commit to lifelong spiritual development and service. The graduation recognition. Completing 39 days of intensive spiritual study and practice is a significant achievement. Most people never dedicate this much focused attention to spiritual development. You've built a foundation that can support lifelong growth. Acknowledge this accomplishment while recognizing it's just the beginning of your spiritual journey. The commitment ceremony. Create a personal commitment ceremony today. Light a candle before Krishna's picture. Offer flowers if available. Chant extra rounds. Read your favorite verses from this journey. Then make your personal commitment to Krishna. Not as an obligation but as a love offering. Commit to continuing the practices that have transformed you over these 39 days. Ask Krishna to bring you to your spiritual master. Approach this person for initiation when you are ready. The daily practice pledge. Commit to specific daily practices. A minimum rounds of chanting, start with what's sustainable. A daily scripture reading, even one verse. Irregular association with devotees. Offering food before eating. Maintaining spiritual perspective in all activities. Write down your commitments and refer to them regularly. The service declaration. Commit to sharing Krishna consciousness with others in your unique way. This might be teaching family members to chant, organizing kirtan programs, cooking for others as prasadam offering, sharing spiritual insights through your profession, supporting temple programs, simply living as a good example. Your service declaration makes you part of Krishna's mission to awaken spiritual consciousness worldwide. The emergency protocol. Establish protocols for spiritual emergencies, times when your practice becomes difficult due to external circumstances or internal struggles. A contact person to call for spiritual support. A minimum practice to maintain during crisis. Is scriptural verses for inspiration during doubt. Emergency spiritual activities, extra chanting, temple visit, etc. Having emergency protocols prevents temporary setbacks from becoming permanent abandonment of spiritual life. The growth goals. Set specific spiritual goals for the coming year. Increase daily chanting by specific number of rounds. Read specific spiritual books. Attend certain number of spiritual programs. Develop particular spiritual qualities, patience, humility, compassion. Deepen service in specific areas. Goals create direction for continued advancement. Tomorrow's new beginning. Your graduation today prepares you for tomorrow. Not an ending, but a new beginning with stronger foundation, clearer direction, and deeper commitment. Day 40. The new beginning. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. Bhagavad-Gita 9:2. Today completes our 40-day journey through the secret of all secrets. But this ending is actually a beginning. You now possess the foundational knowledge and practices needed for lifelong spiritual advancement. The real journey, applying this wisdom for the rest of your life, starts now. The king of education. The Bhagavad-Gita calls this knowledge the king of education because it addresses life's most fundamental questions. Who am I? Why am I here? Where am I going? What should I do? Every other education, scientific, artistic, professional, deals with temporary subjects. This education addresses eternal realities. You now have the most valuable education possible. Spiritual knowledge that benefits you beyond this lifetime. The secret revealed. The most secret of all secrets isn't hidden because it's esoteric or complicated. It's secret because most people aren't ready to hear it or act upon it. They're too distracted by material pursuits to investigate spiritual reality. But you've discovered the secret. You are an eternal spiritual soul, part and parcel of Krishna, temporarily experiencing material education designed to awaken your dormant love for God. Everything else in your life takes its proper meaning from this understanding. The joyful performance. Unlike material activities that become tedious with repetition, spiritual practices become sweeter over time. The more you chant, the more you want to chant. The more you serve, the greater your capacity for service. The more you surrender to Krishna, the more freedom you experience. This increasing joy proves you're on the right path. Material pleasures diminish with repetition. Spiritual pleasures multiply. The everlasting investment. Every moment you spend in Krishna consciousness creates permanent benefit. Material achievements perish at death, but spiritual advancement continues beyond the body. You're investing in everlasting assets that can never be lost or stolen. This 40-day investment has created spiritual capital that will compound throughout your life and beyond. The ongoing journey. Your spiritual journey has 3 phases. 1. Learning what you've just completed, understanding principles and establishing practices. 2. Deepening your lifelong work, strengthening realization and purifying consciousness. 3. Sharing your eternal service, helping others discover their spiritual nature. Each phase contains the others. You'll continue learning while deepening and sharing. The daily renewal. Every day offers you a fresh opportunity to practice Krishna consciousness. Yesterday's successes don't guarantee today's spiritual awareness. Yesterday's failures don't prevent today's spiritual breakthrough. Treat each coming day as a new chance to remember Krishna, serve devotees, and deepen your understanding. The final secret. Here's the ultimate secret within the secret of all secrets. Krishna wants your happiness more than you do. Everything in your spiritual journey, the practices, the struggles, the realizations, the service, is Krishna's way of bringing you back to your natural position of eternal joy in relationship with him. Trust this process. Trust Krishna's love for you. Trust that every sincere step toward him is reciprocated with his step toward you. The promise. Krishna promises that no one who sincerely seeks him is ever lost. Your 40-day journey is proof of his reciprocation with your sincere seeking. As you continue forward, this reciprocation will become increasingly evident in your life. The beginning is now. The journey continues. The destination is certain. Welcome to your spiritual life.